That was, it must have literally just been, I think somebody kicked my other account, which bans the account, not just the person in here.
Okay, back to part 2 of where we left off. So the Meister would legitimately finishing his eulogy.
Yeah, he finished the eulogy in fact and was like backing away from the funeral because he technically bastard. He not entirely welcome here. So I think Tiger, you're next.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to like think of how I want to phrase things. So yeah, Quarren will step up and say, "Our father was a great man, always upholding his duties and ensuring the best for his family and his hold. I hope he can rest easy, knowing that so long as the Grimm walks these halls, the vigil will be held. And I hope that he finds his love again in the next life." We'll just kind of step back from there.
Okay, there's a pause. And your master of horse, it's a hoster, makes his way over. He's clutching his hand a letter. Nods to everyone. Walks over to Lord Brandon. Brandon was the best lord that a hedge knight could have found. Picked me up, gave me his salt, his bread, gave me a place in the world, a purpose. I'll drink to you this evening, Brandon. Me and the lads will remember you. I have, he holds up the paper, a letter here written to Sir Desmond. He's asked me in his absence to read a passage from it. He looks like he's pausing for a moment. He's not so confident as a reader. As he holds it up, you may notice the back of the letter bears a distinctive wax seal bearing Mark the Stag. He reads, Lord Brandon Grimm did his duty. He held his lands, raised a family, followed after him, and did his best to keep the king's peace. I affirm Lord Brandon Grimm brought honour to himself and his house under my command when we tamed the Kraken. Furthermore, I believe my brother appreciated his good service in the war against the Mad King. Lord Brandon Grimm did his duty, and that is enough. Read in the name of Stannis, Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships. Letter away and nods, sprinkles a little mud into the boat and makes his way away. as you stand there, reflecting on the words said and the life lived, you see a shadow overhead. Dark wings, dark words. A raven from the north has come to Ada's rest. It flies over and comes to roost in the rookery next to the Master's Tower.
Well, off to work, I suspect.
Okay.
They trundle off to where the raven is because, well, duty doesn't stop for funerals.
Evan, do you want to arrive at this point?
Okay.
So,
At this point, a figure dressed in a black robe that covers his a black hood, because it's indicative of the Riverlands. It rains an awful lot. Will make his way towards the gatehouse of the castle, mounted on a fine steed, and he will. Are the gates open or closed?
the gates are open, but there's a man on watch.
Okay, he will trot towards the gates and will only stop if he is stopped.
Okay, are you displaying any heraldry?
Nope.
Okay. Hey there! Who goes?
The figure stops. He pulls the horse in, and he looks. He looks at the man with kind of narrowed eyes from under his hood. Before he will reach up, sigh, and slowly pull the hood down to reveal the face and the head, and he will say, "I assume you will not bar me entrance for my own father's funeral."
He looks stunned, paused. Lord Raylan, welcome. You know the way. I'll have the boys take your horse.
Thank you. He will step down. You can hear the very obvious cha-chink, cha-chink, as it's clear that he's wearing armor under his robe. But yes, he will advance into the main hall, or into the funerary place.
Okay. We're in the Godswood. Okay. Okay. Well, a ghost from the past walks from absent these last 9 years. Walks into the Godswood.
Sorry, what was that? I was just moving rooms.
A ghost from the past, these past 9 years, walks into the Godswood once more. The Godswood seems largely unchanged from what you remember. The people, not so much. Everyone's a little older.
You will see. Hang on, Tiger. What age are you? Because I'm trying to work out what age you were when I fucked off.
I believe I'm 16 at this point. 15 or 16.
So you would have been 6 when I last saw you.
Yeah.
I was so tempted to bring you an S-Aussie teddy bear. You have no idea. All right. Rylan will he'll stand at the edge of the wood for a few moments, just long enough to hear the others speak, before he will say, in his kind of quote-unquote authoritarian voice that you get when you command a battlefield for long enough, he'll say, "I, Sir Ryland Grimm, would like to speak on the matter of my father."
The scepter nods.
Once again, you hear the cha-chink, cha-chink, cha-chink noise as he walks up. And he'll look down at the man laying there in state, and he'll turn to the audience. How many people roughly are we talking attended the funeral?
Currently in the Godswood was, let's say, a dozen.
Okay. And he will put his hand. So I'm assuming it's very similar to how they did with Hoster Tully in the sense that he's laying under a banner of a house, basically, kind of, you know.
Well, he's in a boat. There's a cloth over his body. Yes, he's not. There's no sail on the boat yet. I'll make it all good to carry later.
He will place his hand. He'll place his gloved hand on the hand of the corpse, on the hand of the deceased, and he will say, "Certain wounds never close, and certain arguments seem to do that they do last a lifetime. I'm sorry that I didn't come before now in order to say, I'm sorry that it is the son could not say to his father what it was that was in his truest heart. Of the lost, for just as you have sailed on to be with the seven, so too do you leave us, absent you. Now we must find and right our own course. Now we must find a safe harbor in which to dock. I hope that wherever you are, Father, you find the solace and the happiness that you so lacked in life. May the gods watch over you." And he will lean in and he will kiss the corpse on the forehead.
Yeah, the scepter doesn't stop you, but looks somewhat uncomfortable when you do that.
That's fine. With that, he will turn and he will stride back to the very, very periphery of this funeral party.
By the way, Nathan, can I ask you that? Oh, you've just seen it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Fine, I'm on it. Leave there with me. Okay. Just so Hoster quietly steps over to Rylan. Welcome, my lord. I didn't expect to see you. You look well.
He will turn and he will... Anthony, your name is Maester Lucas? I think?
Julius, I think.
Julius, okay. He will turn and he will nod and he will say...
Evan, just so you know, Julius is, he's left the funeral. He's gone up to the Maester's tower.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. But he's basically going to say, indeed, Maester Julius sent me a message via courier some weeks ago so that I would not miss the event. And I had hoped to have words with my father before his passing. Unfortunately, the gods did not deem that to be within their plan.
Oh, it's good to have you safely home, my lord.
He will nod. You can tell his eyes are away in the sense that he's not looking at him. He's not even really looking at anyone here. He's not even really looking at the body. He's just kind of staring off into the nothing.
If I may interrupt at this point for one thing. Nathan?
Yeah?
How far away is the Maester's tower from the Godswood?
A distance? It's not really important. Why?
Is it within shouting distance?
If you shout very loudly, yes.
Right. Everyone at the funeral party is going to hear, at a distance, the words, "God damn it!" in the Maester's tower.
The scepter looks disapprovingly.
Lily, at this point, between the shock on her face and the rather grim expression of disapproval that crosses her face at hearing those words, It seems like almost like if you said the right thing to her, you could knock her over with a feather.
Can I also clarify something, by the way, everyone, before we continue? What is the name of the late lord?
Brandon.
Brandon.
Spell it for me, Nathan.
Bynden, I think.
Okay, bollocks.
The,
Right,
the letter is written correctly, even if I spell it wrong. I don't think I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Bollocks. Proceed.
Okay.
Oh dear. um, Actually, ironically, Rylan will smile. A smile when he hears the gods damn it will touch across his lips, and he'll say, "Ah, I do believe I hear Maester Julius now."
Evan, the owl is going to land on your shoulder. It's going to sit there.
What is the owl's name?
It's called Xerxes. It's just going to sit there.
Hello,
Peck you
Xerxes.
occasionally. It's like peck.
Is this a not too subtle thing that my darling Uncle Julius wants to see me?
Yes.
Ah, excellent.
Xerxes is looking a lot older.
Yes.
Ah.
He's somewhat bedraggled.
He will turn to the owl, and he'll stroke the owl, kind of, just under the chin, like, "Hello, Xerxes."
He will raise his beak happily.
What was the name of the knight who was speaking to me, Nathan?
Sahosta.
If he would. No, he wouldn't. Would you mind having one of the house servants go and tell Maester Julius that I will be with him when the funeral is concluded? This is his not too subtle request for my presence.
Very good, my lord. He wanders off to speak to people.
Excellent.
The owl isn't going to leave your shoulder, by the way. It's just going to keep
That's
pecking
fine.
you.
That's fine. It doesn't seem to bother him very much.
All right.
Okay. The court full wanders over. His face looks like it's charged with all manner of emotions. Looks down, as in he stands slightly too close and has to bend over and peer down at Brandon. I played with your father when I was young. I played with you, and it was such fun. I played with your children, and now you are gone. They'll play with me, for our play goes on.
Wise Boris.
And
Fucking really.
At that point, his voice cracks and tears start to flow down his cheek. A single tear.
Corin, whenever he starts seeing the fool start crying, just kind of go over and put an arm around his shoulder.
And Glance notices Wyden. With a hey and a ho, the wind and the rain, here he comes back again. He's sort of humming tunelessly. He's humming tunelessly to himself and drifting off to the back. Okay. Right. Well, the sun is starting to get low on the horizon, and you sense it start to get time. So Hoster organises some of the knights to form the honour guard to carry the boat down to the river. Traditionally 7 people. Would anyone like to join the honour guard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan wants he walks, however.
Okay. So they hoist the boat up on their shoulders and, in a steady pace, start to carry it out of the castle, down to the river, and the mourners follow behind. And we cut our scene. We're down at the river. The boat has been lowered into the water, and one of the lads has brought up a brazier, and another stands there with a quiver and a bow ready. So the Septon takes a step back and leaves you to your family right.
Out of character, it's typically the air that does it, right?
Yes. Or
The issue is that no one has a bloody idea who to hand it to.
the
Yeah.
servants are waiting for the family to do something.
Nathan,
Yes.
at this point, Xerxes is going to be very, very insistently pecking at Evan's head. Peck, 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 peck.
Ryan's head. Okay.
Because he's been
Alright.
specifically told, basically, what the maester did was show him picture of a river, smell, got a bunch of river weed, trained him. When this smell, peck harder. Smell, peck harder.
Okay.
In that case,
Um,
in that case, Ryan will stride forward to take the bow because he thinks that's what the bird is telling.
Okay. Well, the servants will go along with what you're doing, unless the family want to do anything. Wise Boris starts singing away. The air is in the sky, the earth is in the ground below. There goes the water flowing down the stream, and now here comes the fire. Okay, you get handed a good solid bow and a prepared fire arrow. There's a brazier standing ready. The servants look to you for a nod to release the boat.
He kind of flexes his muscles a little bit just to kind of get bows. He's okay with a bow, but it's not really his specialty. But yeah, he'll give the nod.
Okay. They push the bow off, and you can all watch as Lord Brandon begins to drift slowly down the river. Which, well, if he was left to drift, he would eventually drift into the Trident and down into the sea. Okay. The boat gets a little further.
Okay.
The boat-
Yep, he fired the arrow. What difficulty do you want to set the check for me at?
I'm going to let you decide, because it depends on how long you want to wait.
We'll wait till because I've got a decent pool for this, and I'm going to spend the session's destiny point to get an extra dice because, why not? I'm going to wait till a nice, respectful, we'll say 8 until we a difficulty of 8. That gives it time to kind of bob away a little bit.
Okay.
And I hit it just on the money.
Okay. The fire arrow arcs up through the air, levels out at the very hangs for a moment, the very top of its arc, and comes down. Landing just on the corner of the boat. The fuel prepared under the flowers, and the flames begin to spread. And against the setting sun, fire and water. As Lord Brandon drifts away until whatever lies beyond. Okay.
He'll hand the bow off to his off to the servant who gave it to him, kind of thanking the 7 gods, the god he could think of that he managed to make that shot. Otherwise, he'd look like a jackass. Hashtag performance anxiety. But at this point, he's going to walk towards his sister because he has yet to. And that seems like something he should probably do.
She'll turn to him. Hello, Rylan.
It has been a very long time.
It has.
I assume that you're well.
I am well enough.
He will then turn to his younger brother, and he's going to have to recognize the fact he looks kind of like Lily, because Christ knows he looks nothing like him. But he's going to say, and when last I saw you, I don't think you could even mount your own horse by yourself.
Time changes us all. How have you been, brother?
He contemplates those next words. Frankly, Essos is incredibly warm. Let no one tell you it's not. But you know what? He is going to give his brother the manly hug.
Hell yeah. Family hugs are bad.
But he will then look him up and down and he'll say, I see much of our father in you.
He has the look on his face like he wants to say something, but it's not the time. So he'll just kind of just nod and go with it.
Looks at Lily, assuming, and he goes, I assume some semblance of food has been laid out.
Yes, and I'll make certain that there are quarters prepared for you tonight.
He'll nod. Thank you. And now, I'll...
Is he breaking up for everyone else, or is it just me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's
No,
breaking up
Evan,
some-
you massively broke up there.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, and I think I'd better go and have a conversation with the maester before this bloody owl tears my ear off.
Okay.
Molly will nod.
Shall we do a scene cut over to say a family dinner, and you can discuss matters there, unless you want a super secret meeting.
Family dinner sounds good.
Okay. So scene cut. You're back in the main hall. Servants have laid out actually quite a good meal. Around the table is yourselves as family, and there's also 2 other people that we haven't seen earlier. One is no, she's looking sad and keeping to herself is Margaret, a 5-year-old blonde girl that looks quite similar to Lily. And secondly is a noble guest who has been visiting for the funeral, who said he was expected earlier. But you can start while I'm sorting that out.
So, I'm curious, Maester, why you almost had your bird rip my ear off.
I actually wanted to have this conversation in the bloody tower. He will.
If you want to drag him off sideways to an alcove, you can.
He's going to pass you a small note.
Oh. I will read the small note.
Right. Nathan, should I just read it aloud, or should I make a Google document or something?
Is anyone going to read it aloud?
Well, I don't intend for him to read it aloud, but that's my point. Do I write?
You can share him the link if you want. If you want to pass secret notes, you can share him the link.
Okay then.
Everyone else will see a letter being passed. The back of it bears the seal of House Stark.
No, that's not being passed.
Oh,
that's not the thing being passed.
Oh, I'm confused. Okay.
Yep.
Some would say. So, your noble visitor, speaking. Lord Randall, I heard you were dead.
Oh, no. I spent a sojourn in Essos and fell in love, and so spent far too much time there. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Sorry, it's not enough better circumstances. No, I don't believe I had the pleasure. So Cleos, you'll note he is clearly wearing the white and blue colours of House Frey, but he's also wearing a red sash.
I do hope that Lord Mulder as well.
Oh, never been more healthy. His wife is expecting again. Still a strong and virile man.
God above us, he must be what, 80 now? 80 winters? Or 80 summers, or however they phrase it.
Something like that, yes.
If you'll excuse me, you'll see him finish reading his note, at which point he'll dab his mouth with a napkin and stand and bow politely to the table.
Thank you again for journeying here.
Oh, that's quite all right, as I said. Well, I'm sure we all want our family around at a time like this.
It means a lot to me that you would do this. How are the children?
Oh, very well. He's looking confused for a moment. How to answer that? Getting bigger. I think they're going to take after their mother as they get older.
I'm sure Jean would be pleased by that.
Oh God, I have to assault all the steps on my way up to the Maester's Tower. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, the Maester we're leading you up to his tower.
So what about you, young Karan? You got your eye on anyone?
Not yet, but I'm still young. Well, I'm sure I'll find someone eventually.
Well, and I could think of a cousin or two if you want to probably join our houses again.
It'd be lovely to meet them.
Okay, shall we do a scene cut to the tower?
Lovely. He will. It's funny. You know how when things seem much more daunting. So he always found walking up to the Maester's tower daunting when he was younger because, of course, it was a lot of steps, and Maester Julius was crazy.
You have no fucking idea, little nephew. No fucking idea.
He will push open the door to the Maester's tower, and he will say, "I received your message, Uncle."
Then you might want to read this. And he hands you what is clearly like a madly scrawled copy of something else. Because no, Nathan, I'm not stupid enough to give him the original.
Oh, okay.
That's gone on to it. That's gone on to its rightful owner. He's not a fucking moron. He's been,
Okay, fine. Okay.
okay, Evan.
Mhm.
Fuck. Stupid bloody Facebook. Stay calm, Anthony. Stay calm. I have just linked you to the letter.
Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's going Julius is going to be picking up a large goblet of wine. His hand shaking slightly. Xerxes trying to nuzzle him. There's a distinctly formaldehyde smell in the room. Several unopened bottles.
I see. You'll see him roll up the paper, and he'll say, "I have no doubt that this should go to whomever it is the next Lord of House Grimm."
Therein lies the issue. From a certain technical perspective, the next line in succession will be you. But your absence has made this difficult.
Oh. I
Yes.
have no great wish for the lordship. I had intended to return to Essos.
Given the current situation, that would seem a little unwise.
Why?
For one thing, your father's dead. You have a duty to remain here. But also, the war may be over, but there are still those in Westeros who would consider the continued absence of a Targaryen loyalist to be something of a queen over this house. Your remaining here would serve to mollify certain individuals.
So you say that I should stay here and drink toasts to the usurper?
I say you should stay here until such time as time does its work. Baratheon will not live forever. Look at his brothers. Only a few children between them. Their line won't last. Targaryens ruled for centuries. And they can't all be dead.
They're not. However,
That-
unfortunately, Prince Viserys, the rightful king, must languish in anonymity in Essos. I spent the last number of my years fighting just to get enough money to keep them supported.
In that case, a little patience will do his temperament well. The simple truth is, he will have to learn patience. It might be his children or his grandchildren, but eventually the usurper's line will end and things will be back to how they were. In the meantime, you should serve your house, even if you despise the king who commands it.
There's a sigh, like a... Very well then. Is there some issue with my ascension then?
Yes, the Tullys have intimated that they wish to acknowledge your younger brother as heir, presumably because they didn't up to this point know you were alive. You should have stayed in contact more. Now
Is
we
there-
are on a knife edge.
Is there legal precedence for them to skip the legal heir?
I believe so. The heir's prolonged absence can be argued as justifiable evidence that he is unfit. And I do not believe your younger brother would see fit to keep you around if he was named Lord. I would sense a place among the Night's Watch beckoning swiftly.
I'm not a big fan of the cold, Uncle.
All the more reason to try and avoid the situation.
Send a raven to House Tully at River Reed. Have you received an official writ from them saying or speaking of their intentions, or is it...
Suffice it to say that an official writ has passed through my fingers.
Then it's rather simple. Hey Nathan, I have to ask a question.
Yes.
In the event they were to strip me of my birthright, I assume that would be a legal process. Like there are laws to do this, etc.
It would be very strange to do it arbitrarily without due cause. It's certainly in the cases where it's a multiple claimants and it's confused and everyone's got varying claims of different strengths. Often the liege lord will make a decision. So it would.
And since the Tullys have already mentioned recognizing the younger son, there is something of a leaning in that direction.
To give you another answer, what would be common would be the liege lord would call a council, invite maybe the neighbours and other relevant lords, hear opinions and make a decision. That would be common.
I may have an idea, though it may be difficult. Nathan, I'm going to pull out a map. How far is the Adder's Rest from River Run?
A few days, I don't know. I'm not sure the maps have good scale on.
Okay, he's going to say, take a few good men, take supplies, and ride directly to Riverrun. Present yourself there as heir to my brother, as heir to your father's position. Make it clear that you have returned and are prepared to enter into your duties immediately and swear oaths of fealty, as is suitable, immediately. That should push House Tully into a position where refusal could be seen as an insult and a denial of your rights. Acknowledgement would be the easiest path, and it would cut short our problem. It would also give the idea to those observing that you are an exceptionally loyal member of the house. After all, you set out with all expediency to swear your oaths of fealty. As soon as your father's funeral was done and your filial duty completed, you began your duties to your house. How does that sound?
I will speak to my younger brother before I do. As if he thinks that this house is his, he'll shrug. I have no wish to argue with my family again.
Okay, shall we move the scene back to the dining room, everyone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll start making our way back down anyway.
Well, scene cut, you're back down.
That's it.
Retaking his seat, Rylan kind of, he'll put his napkin back down. On a side note, Nathan, what are we actually eating?
Oh, good question. Okay, there are a couple of game birds that were hunted earlier by Harold. Yesterday by Harold, there were. Oh, sorry, Harold Coran. So beg pardon. There's been a fish course. In fact, you've now had the main course. You're now on to a dessert course, which is fruit pies.
Excellent. It's one thing that you miss whenever you must be assaulted via all of the spice eccentricities of the East. You miss food that is simply food and not food that is so bombastic that it's hard to eat. He says, trying to obviously make a joke.
Perhaps you could share some of that perspective with your niece. She seems hesitant to eat anything, anything remotely resembling a vegetable.
Oh. Ryland smiles at the little girl and he says, I'm trying to think, how would he phrase this? Far away in the east, far over the mountains and far across the grassy plains, there's a city. Beautiful. A city made of tents and wood. But this place is entirely ruled by the wisest and strongest of women. They call themselves the Dosh Kali. They are wise beyond words and strong beyond strength, unless wise and you'll never be strong, but I think that you could give them a run for your money. A run for their money.
She smiles, looks very shy and nervous. Mummy, who is this?
This is your Uncle Rylan, Maggie.
Oh, hello, Uncle.
He is not dead, as many believed. He has in fact been living and traveling abroad in Essos all these 9 long years.
It's very nice to meet you, little one.
Hello, Uncle Rylan. She's looking quite fascinated. She's not seen anyone quite like that looks quite like you before.
Mm-hmm. The white hair is kind of odd.
And the purple eyes.
Fair. I always forget the Targaryens have lilac eyes. That's something that they don't bring up in the show ever.
Danny, count my contacts. Are you going to stay, Uncle?
I tell you what, guys, I need to just dip out for just 2 minutes because I need to go and order some food. So I'll be back when I've made the order. So I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Okay.
So that seemingly is a no.
Yeah, come on.
You're going to stay later, guys.
Okay, and in walks Sir Desmond.
Sorry about that, by the way. So I'd say he probably comes in from his quarters, his eyes still puffy and red. Oh, hi everyone. How are you all? How's everyone doing?
I say that we're faring reasonably well considering the circumstances.
Okay. I, this is can I get some wine or something?
Yeah, one servant will suddenly set up a place. Well, there is a place out for you. You've just not been in it.
Yeah.
One servants will make
Yeah.
sure that it's properly provisioned with. They're on the dessert course of fruit pies, and there's certainly table wine.
It's sounding. He's only not really eating much. Just probably drinking some red. He's bothered by a cat right now. So, how do I put this? Is everyone is everything good? I'm sorry again for not being here. I couldn't bear it.
That's okay, Uncle Desmond.
Well, I know I'm usually a little better about this, but yeah, but
It's never easy to lose family. No matter how many times you've done it.
well, I mean, it's easy. Yeah, how do I put this? It's weird the amount of times I've been on the battlefield and I've caused this to others, but it never feels as real as when it happens to you.
Sorry, I'm back. Let us say that I stepped away for a moment and came back. I see my uncle has arrived. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'll say he definitely stands up in seeing him and walks over to embrace him.
Yeah, no, there's an embrace, and you can tell he holds you for just a moment longer than maybe would be socially acceptable because you can tell that there was actual emotion there.
Yeah, and same thing. He'll whisper in his ear, "I missed you."
You'll see the mask, the kind of the pale faced mask break for a second, but then he'll kind of reassemble it before he'll sit down again, and he'll say, "Give my compliments to the chef, whoever they are now. I remember when we were young, we had Maldred, and of course Maldred, she had a good heart, but she wouldn't exactly know she wouldn't know how to roast a boar compared to how to bake a loaf of bread. It all ended up tasting the same."
It's Kathleen now, I believe.
Oh, yes. of that.
So, now we're all here. Are there any plans in the immediate future? You want to go on a hunt or something?
There will be many hunts, but not today.
Well, not today. I, for one, intend to drink myself under the table, but I don't know if that's necessarily a plan or something. It just sort of happens.
Uncle Desmond, why do you drink so much?
Why do you dress funny, huh? Sorry, I'm sorry that I don't take criticism well, but I don't drink so much. It's just that my brother died, and I am sad. So,
You drink because you're sad.
I'm gonna put it this way: it's kind of like, why does a cripple carry a crutch when he could maybe work on his leg or something? Well, it's easier, and life is sometimes savage and pointless. So sometimes we drink.
But don't you also,
I'm sorry.
But don't you also drink when you're happy?
Whose kid is this again?
It's Lily.
That's in character. He kind of looks up like, why am I being berated for my life choices?
Lily has her hand is resting, or her forehead is resting against her hand.
Who did what?
The kid kept asking me why my character drinks so much, asking me all these personal life questions. He's like, "Excuse me,
Maggie,
oh.
mind your manners, please."
Sorry, Mummy.
If it helps for posterity, Rylan has had a single glass of wine that he has been sipping through the entirety of the meal and has not actually consumed yet, by comparison.
And to almost encourage Maggie to be on her best behavior, Lily will say, "If you're on your best behavior, you may have another slice of pie."
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still waiting for the "why is your hair silver" question.
Also, Julius is going to slowly get to his feet. What's Heather? What is the child's name?
Maggie.
Maggie. Okay, he'll put down his own glass. He'll walk around the table. He will somewhat creakily kneel down to Maggie's level. Maggie, my dear little lady.
Scared.
Let me just tell you a little secret. He leans in close and says, "Have you ever been up in my lab? It's full of bones and bits and all sorts of scary detritus. Now, if you're very good and you behave for your mummy, I might let you see it later. It has a really nice view, and you can even help me feed the ravens. How does that sound?"
Or conversely, you can ride with me on my horse. Just not that. Please don't show her that.
I am going to say that there is a smile on Meister Julius's face that you associate with serial killers.
She's looking scared and confused. So Cleos is looking slightly concerned.
So, yeah, not that. Not around the children.
What
Don't show her the lab.
What would you like to do, Maggie? Would you like to help me feed the ravens?
She's looking at Mummy for guidance. She's confused and scared.
Lily will get up from her seat.
Lily probably had to help feed the ravens herself when she was little. When she needed to be scared straight.
She will put a hand on Maggie's shoulder. I have fond memories of feeding the ravens with Maester Julius when I was a child, but I think perhaps you're a bit young to see his lab.
That's quite a shame that you say that, my lady. But
Perhaps instead, if
No,
she's
it is your
interested, she might help you feed the ravens in the Godswood.
Fair enough. I shall be certain to bring down a couple of bowls of sliced meat. How does that sound, my dear?
She's still looking very scared and slightly confused by what you're saying.
Oh yes, she's scared of the borderline insane maester who's talking about bowls of meat, non-specific meat.
On a side note, isn't there another child? Isn't Caleb?
Don't believe there's another resident child.
Maybe they're what's in the meat.
But you might want to ask where the other child is if you want. Yes, yes, Ryan. You notice there's a missing person. And they have not laid out a seat, so there's not an empty seat because they're missing.
If they're dead, it's nothing to do with me.
Maggie is looking a bit confused and scared. So Cleos leans over to Maggie and whispers,
There we go. Sorry.
Remember,
From one room to another.
remember, Maggie, you're afraid of the crossing. Keep courage in your heart and be proud of it.
Yeah, no, why not? Rylan looks around the room and he looks to the table and he'll say, I could have sworn that in your letters, or you mentioned in your letter, one letter, there was another child.
Another child? Blink. You know, I don't know of any other children, so what the fuck?
Yeah. Yes, you know my daughter. I mean, I don't keep her around her much. Yeah, she's over with Stannis. I had her fostered by him after her mother passed away.
I see. I had forgotten about that little arrangement. Guess I was a little distracted.
That's fine.
Well, I'll be back in a little bit, Maggie. I'm just going to go and prepare the raven feed. He stands up. He like clearly is examining a piece of meat on the table for several moments. No, too cooked. Turns, smiles at the child, and leaves.
Sorry, I missed some of that. The last thing I heard Caleb said was, you know my daughter, and then it died. So, what were you saying, Caleb?
But I was reminding him that I have a daughter. She's with Stannis right now.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
And then Julius said he was going to prepare the raven feed, stood up, looked at the meat on the table, said "too cooked." Is he fucking gone again? I keep telling
At
him.
this point, Ryland's going to look. He's going to look at his younger brother, and he's going to say, "So, I don't know you as a man. I only remember a child who had, well, who played childish games. I remember playing hide and seek with you once in the Godswood. I'm not exactly sure how you managed to get so high up a tree, but it
He broke up at like the very last end of that sentence.
he said, I'm not exactly sure how you managed to get so high up a tree, but it was impressive if that helps.
I'm not even sure how I managed to get up that far.
Now we have he kind of leans back in his chair and he'll say, I'm going to be honest, little brother. If you want the lordship of House Grimm, he'll shrug. I'll take the black and won't stop you.
Very well. And what do you plan on doing?
Might know. Basically,
Oh, you are cutting out so bad right now.
Yes,
hang on.
I am forever telling him.
No, it's just for some video. I see they're doing some kind of work or something on the signal, or like doing some work on the network. Hang on.
Right. In that case, since you keep cutting out, what I'm going to do is this. As he gets to the door, the maester stops. He pulls from his pocket the original letter marked with the sigil of House Stark and says, now we have a bit of a problem, I'm afraid. Which one of you intends to pursue the seat? His two young nephews. Tiger.
Yeah, I was waiting on Evan to get back in.
Yeah. Are you going to look? Are you going to try and claim the seat?
Are you going to claim it, Mummy?
I cannot. Maggie, we're friends now.
I had planned on it, yes. Brother hadn't returned. That's why I asked him what his plans were, if he planned on staying or if he planned on going back to Essos.
And his plans seem to revolve around what you intend to do. Hence the problem.
Maester Julius has also made it clear that I should stay, as opposed to returning for various different reasons. So, as I said, I merely wish to know your intentions, brother.
I would be more than honored to take the seat. But you are the firstborn and the eldest. It is rightfully yours.
You can see kind of conflict play across his face for a moment, and he'll say, in all honesty, I have never desired our father's seat. It's not something that I've ever thought about or given much credence to. That was full of both adventure
and give
He is still cussing out for everyone else, yes?
yeah.
Yep.
Good. Just so long as I know.
Because this seems like it's going to turn into something of a family meeting. Lily will turn to Maggie and say, Maggie,
Yes, Mummy?
you should find wise Boris.
Yes, Mummy.
Take him a piece of pie. Tell him it's from me.
Okay. She'll do that. So Cleo says, perhaps I should leave you to your family business and look after dear Maggie.
She'll nod. Of course. Stay close to your Uncle Cleo, Maggie.
Okay, and the two of them head off. And as silence falls, you can admire the empty family seat.
The issue as it stands, I'm afraid, is that I have a letter here intended for the lord of this house. And I can't give it to the person who isn't the lord of the house.
And you couldn't even give it to the steward, I presume.
It's a grey legal area, I'm afraid. One wouldn't wish to offend Lady Catelyn Stark herself.
Understandably so. Julius, why do you think? What are your reasonings for Raylan staying?
First, he is the natural-born heir, the eldest. And, perhaps even more importantly, let us be fair here. He did fight for the Targaryens during King Robert's war.
Yeah.
As a consequence of that, there are going to be many within Westeros who are going to think of him as, at the very least, a fool, at worst, a possible traitor. We must make it clear to all of Westeros that no son of the late lord of this house is a traitor to Westeros. I believe the most efficient and effective way of doing that is to have him assume the title and begin carrying out all the procedures required of a loyal lord.
And then people who view him as a possible traitor would see a possible traitor holding the lordship of Adam's Nest and House Grimm.
But they would
I agree with
also
Lily on
see-
this.
They would also see that there is a younger heir in place. Should we fail politically, if I may say so without Ryland being offended, it would not be beyond capability for him to be forced into permanent exile and passing the throne on to his brother. In effect, we retain a backup plan.
No, that's not quite true, brother. Because depending on what what our opponents or rivals might do, you're assuming their mercy will be boundless. They could use that as pretext to have us all killed.
Unlikely, given that the majority of this house either was neutral or fought for King Robert.
Neither of you are married, nor do you have someone suitable to take on the domestic affairs of the house. Is that a presumption on my part?
Well, I'm not allowed to marry, so that's me out of the question.
Should we be discussing this in the hall like this? Should we maybe go somewhere privately?
There's few places truly private in this house, in this hall. My counsel, as I say, would be for Ryland to take the position, at least while we deal with affairs as they currently stand. If at the end of that time he wishes to take the black, then by all means.
I am of the opinion that he should take the throne. He is the legitimate heir. And that's all that is required. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the reasons you put as your reason, I disagree with, brother. But then again, you spent time in that tall building elsewhere, you know.
Other reason, brother. More important, perhaps, than any.
What are your reasons, Uncle Desmond?
He is the correct heir. There's nothing that anybody who should ask should say, and should the day come when our king passes, should it not pass to Joffrey?
As I say, there is one other reason that we should consider Ryland as possible heir. Although I admit it is one born more of my personal irritation than anything else. He walks along the table, drumming his fingers as he walks. Ratatata, 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 ratatata. Before he says, in the end, a person's loyalty must be to their house. First, foremost, and always. To return to Essos, or to take the black, would I feel be a dereliction of duty. Since, if Ryland remains, there would always be a question over his younger brother's right. He would either have to assume the position himself, take the black, or return to Essos. As I've just said, either of the latter two options are, in my view, a dereliction. I feel that Ryland, having abandoned his family for the last few years, owes rather a debt of service. And you'll see you'll actually hear old knuckles pop in his right hand. He's clearly quite fervent about this.
Again, I feel that we're arguing an agreement. Just the hows and whys. But again, it's also their choice. He doesn't necessarily need to live in exile in Essos his entire life. He has to be more there than he is here. Or there's also, because I know my nephew, we could also request he be sent to the King's Guard. I know Sir Barrison's getting up there in years.
He might be getting up there in years, but
I'd never want to fight that old bastard.
Yes, but old Selmy has always been capable of wielding a sword, and men of the King's Guard don't tend to live past their prime.
No, I 100% agree. I'd never want to fight that old man. So again, it is also their choice. The two brothers can work it out as they see fit. You know where I stand. I do believe he should take the position. But I think the issue we shouldn't make an issue of it. If you start making an issue with it, then other people can use that as a means of leverage on us. Just it'll be business as usual. What do you mean? He was the next oldest. He had the right to it, and he was given a pardon by Robert. Are you saying that the word of our king is not enough? That sort of thing.
Fair point. In that case, I leave it up to the heirs themselves. And he places the letter in the center of the dining table.
For roleplay purposes, I will be petting a cat. I will say this is my cat.
I'm petting Xerxes and feeding him nibbles from the table.
Did you know that if you spell Xerxes backwards, it spells sex rex? That means nothing. I just figure I'd say that. See, I can spell too, brother.
It actually spells Xerxes.
Xerxes is silently judging you.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Lily places her hands on the table. I don't know if it makes that much difference to anyone here, but House Tully expects myself and Corin to make an appearance.
How soon?
As soon as affairs here are settled, so he can renew his vows to House Tully and properly assume lordship of the house.
Do you need an escort? Would you like me to come along?
I'm not concerned about that at the moment. Right now, I'm more concerned about how House Tully will react to, for what, and I mean no offense, brother, what amounts to a prodigal son returning from afar to claim his birthright.
Well, we can have all of us, at least you, me, all of us. I was going to do the math, but all of us to go and privately discuss the issue with the Tullys, and we'll proceed from there. I mean, again, I think we should stand by our simple fact that this is his birthright, unless they come up with a good reason that no. I also don't think my nephew should take the black no matter what.
Neither of my brothers appears to want this throne.
Oh, nope, not even going to say that.
This chair, this seat.
I will point out, I'm not exactly a sterile eunuch. If neither of you want it, I can take it.
The thought had just occurred to me.
I have never said that I did not want the seat. However, I recognize that it is my brother's by birthright. And so I was asking what his plans were. I've yet to get a response from him on that.
Out of character, I don't know if he's still here.
Yeah, I know. Mike, can people actually hear me, or can they not?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. His response was that he was going to go and pray for the evening in the gods would and stand.
Damn it.
Well,
Why must you do this to us? Why?
Uh,
I am petting Sir Paws. He's a good boy.
Xerxes wants to eat him. I have thus far dissuaded him from eating him.
No, leave my cat alone.
Xerxes is a bloody great horn that owl. He's probably bigger than you are.
Might be bigger than my cat, but he's still my cat, and you leave my cat alone.
Yeah. I'm trying to train him to carry me around in my old age.
Feed my cat to him, I'll teach you how to fly.
I was thinking more in terms of making like a little sedan chair that can be carried by an owl.
The hell, man. Just 7 hells, man. 7 hells.
Well, you have seen my laboratory. You know some of the experiments I've done in there.
Yes, I still haven't stopped getting nightmares.
Look, those rats were not supposed to eat that person. It's not my fault.
No, it's all your fault, 100%. The person wouldn't have been in there if it weren't for your plans. I'm not saying stop.
If he hadn't broken into that room, he wouldn't have fallen through the trapdoor, and he wouldn't have landed in the rat pit. Not my
Trap door
fault.
implies you wanted that you had planned for that.
It implies I needed a safe way to throw them food.
Again, no, that is not what that implies. Anyway, as I said, I'm not saying you should stop doing what you're doing. I'm simply saying I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see about it. And if people start, if the small folk come up with torches and pitchforks, I might have to give you over. I'm not saying anything other than that.
That's why I'm trying to build the damn sedan chair. In the event of peasant uprising, I intend to perform the first ever feat of Maester uprising.
I'm gonna say that this will end in only stupidity.
It depends upon the effectiveness of my glider design.
but yes, if you guys can actually hear me, basically just consider the fact that Ryland has gone out to the God's Wood to pray, so that will basically count me out because my internet's just so shoddy at the moment.
Yep. We're having a strange discussion about Julius's experiments, and I've realized I'm making him into an incident.
So okay, what's the letter?
It's a request from Kathleen Stark.
She's a sweet lady. I don't like her though.
If I... may I? My lord, my lady?
Oh, not me.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he'll pick it up. Okay. To Lord Bryden of House Grimm. Greetings. I hope this letter finds you and your house well. My lord husband speaks well of both your and Sir Desmond's deeds in the last war. I write to you to ask for your assistance out of the line to House Tully. On the north side of the Trident are the two houses Manning and Hart, both banner houses of House Stark. They have been locked in a bitter conflict for many years that has seen much blood shed on both sides. To finally restore the king's peace, arranged to unite the two houses and put this conflict to rest. Since neither family feels able to trust the other when memory of war is so recent, a neutral house is needed to host the wedding and ensure it proceeds safely. Their other neighbours are not viewed as neutral by one house or the other, and they lie half the north away from Winterfell. Therefore, I ask you as a house relatively formal allegiance to either House Hart, House Manning, or even House Stark to host the wedding feast. Your aid in this matter will be well remembered here in Winterfell. No, I have consulted with my father, Lord Hoster, and brother Edmure, and they have given their blessing to your assistance in this matter. Catelyn Stark, Lady of Winterfell.
A wedding. How lovely.
Two houses that want to rip each other to pieces. This is
And
by
we
no
need-
means a safe endeavor.
And we need to put ourselves in between the two.
That's why I was hoping for some measure of stability.
Yes, we should get this sorted sooner than later, and then we're doing
Especially
them a
since
favor.
it seems Lady Stark is unaware of our dear brother's death.
Yeah, that's then again, she doesn't really keep up with. Ever since
That
she moved north.
means that at the moment, it is possible Winterfell believes we are in a state of perfect stability. Still
Well.
ruled by now, he is dead. And when word reaches Winterfell, we must be seen to be as strong now as we were before his passing.
Not a problem. Just need to pick what we're gonna do and do it. It's not a problem with me. Either one of my nephews, I believe, is of sound mind and reasonable judgment. On top of that, even if they weren't, they're surrounded by people who love and care for them, who have the things that they may be lacking. So we're fine. We are fine. We just need to pick the decision, go with it, and then do our duty.
I hope you are right. Because quite frankly, I don't see being reassigned back to the Citadel because the house I am sworn to has burnt down is in any way a good thing.
You're the one doing experiments, so if anything burns down, odds are it won't be because of our actions.
My chambers are stone-lined and whitewashed. They're virtually fireproof. I'm not having a repeat of last year. Not even slightly. Though it did give me a new idea for a pigpen design.
Okay, so, as I said...
Have you just become evil Leonardo da Vinci?
That's what I said earlier.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay. Uncle Julius, how long would it take a raven from here to reach Winterfell?
I would say perhaps a week at most. And that's assuming bad conditions. If the raven flies, Winterfell is not that far.
And I have already informed House Tully of Father's death.
Which means the raven will reach House Tully in a matter of days, and then word will be passed on. In that case, I say perhaps 8 days. In the worst possible situation.
Well...
8 days for the message to reach House Tully, and for them to make the decision to relay it up to House Stark, and then for a raven to reach Winterfell in bad conditions.
And that does not take into account that House Frey already is aware and may have sent word on their own.
They probably did because they're assholes.
Our dear niece has technically become a Frey, brother.
Technically, she's still my niece. Okay,
Yes.
technically,
If
she's still my niece. That sounded like I said, technically, you're still my niece. That's not what I meant.
Yes, if I may point this out, my dear, you are about as much a Frey as this table is a Frey. You may be called it, but you're a Grimm at the heart of you.
On a side note, is the Frey Knight still sitting at the fucking table?
No, they left.
Oh no, he's gone off with his niece.
I don't know.
That would have been
I don't
very
know.
sad if we had been.
Looking at this table, he taps it once. It reminds me of Walder. Older than dirt and could easily hold up 100 men.
and about as dull and wooden as it's possible to get.
And I trust it to save my life for the same measure too. Let's just insult him for the next half hour. That pleases me. I'm settled smiling.
Somehow I think we need a few hours of good insulting.
On the bright side, at least we know categorically at least one of Lord Walder's appendages is entirely wooden.
Yes, head.
Mayhap all of these things are true.
That man has a face like a slapped ass, and I'll never say anything otherwise.
Yes. As things stand, we have at best perhaps 8 days. At worst, 2, maybe 3. Of course, we do then have the time it takes messages to arrive from Winterfell, but that's, well, that point we're too late to intercede.
I will draft a letter myself to Caitlin.
Yes. So we'll listen.
It will inform her of father's death and apologize that we did not inform our extended relations by marriage ahead of time due to the preparations for the funeral itself needing to take place.
That might at least buy us a little time.
I will also mention that once our affairs are settled, the new Lord of the House will be journeying to House Tully to renew his oaths. And after such has taken place, we would be more than happy to host the wedding unless there is a compelling reason it would need to be done sooner.
That sounds fair enough.
That will buy us time.
Prudent as usual, my dear niece.
If things should prove problematic, what do we want to do?
Well, I personally have always been a proponent of action over long, drawn-out plans that never go anywhere. So I say we pick a plan, we act on it.
What I mean is, should House Stark wish to retract this offer, should House Tully decide that they cannot trust us to make the decision ourselves regarding succession, matters such as that. If the worst comes to the worst, what are we to do to avoid being turned from Banner House into serf family?
Dear God, man, what fumes are you on? Seriously, we should talk. The Tullys aren't. We've been on good terms with them for years. I've fought alongside them twice. I'm sure they won't just simply strip us of our lands and bid us good day.
When you say that, he starts going. And so we spoke, and so we spoke.
Yes, I understand.
Lord of
But also, let me point out: are you comparing The Tullys to the Lannisters?
I'm pointing out that just because the family has been loyal to us and we to them for years does not necessarily mean that that loyalty will protect us.
It's not protection. Again, you're talking like we've committed some grave offense, like we've murdered their sons and we're hoping that they won't. It's literally a question of us deciding who, and if they don't like it, they don't like who we chose, they can pick another one and we'll still be there. We'll still be here. Again, would get some fresh air, brother.
To be fair, I have been mixing some strange mercury-based compounds lately.
Well, no, mercury I've heard is good for you. It cures a lot of things, so you're probably good on that.
Not when mixed with extract of cow dung.
Anyway, so as I said,
I believe, what's the name? It's recorded in the Maester's books. Ammonium nitrate. That's what they call it.
So as I said, we pick a plan. We execute that plan. We follow through. The battlefield of court is no different than the battlefield of battlefield.
To
those who
Are you quoting
understand,
in a coda?
perhaps those who understand the battlefield of court.
Well, yes, just like he's. I'll say he's wearing his chainmail, and he motions to Lily's dress. That is your body armor, as much as this is mine. Admittedly, I am far less. I am far less a capable man in the battlefield of court, but know your enemy, know their plans, strategize, have a motions to the family, have a group of allies that I know won't backstab me.
It couldn't hurt to strengthen our relationship with House Tully, considering we may be springing a surprise on them.
Yes. So again, we pick a plan. I'll follow whatever any of my family chooses. But we have to decide on it and go through with it. Commit to the action.
Very well. Excuse me just one moment.
On a side note, it appears my internet has leveled out again.
Hooray!
Whoa. I'm now looking up how to produce chlorine.
No.
God,
Stop that
damn
right
it,
now.
No.
That's it. Ripping your tits
On the
off. Come
side
here.
note, Nathan is right. The owl is judging us all.
I don't care. It's an owl.
The owl doesn't judge me. I
Back
raised
with
the
us.
owl.
We'll just do a brief scene cut. So you've been out in the Godswood praying. The sun is setting on the horizon, so it's actually quite beautiful this time of night. If the Godswood is largely as you remember it. I mean, obviously, some parts are a bit different, but the weirwood tree is unchanged. Definitely get a vague sense of being watched by those eyes in that weirwood tree. You're not sure exactly if that's like a, whether it's with malevolence or with curiosity or with what, but it's definitely you'll get a sense of being watched more than you remember.
Bugger off, Brandon.
Okay, and wandering over to away there is Wise Boris, who of course you knew at least when you were growing up, and has been a fixture your entire life here.
As Boris approaches him, he'll turn and he'll smile and he'll say, "I have no doubt that you still keep watch over the children, Boris."
Did you think it was only ever the children?
Maybe. Perhaps you just watch us all as he looks up at the night sky.
You think I watch you? Isn't that your house's words? No.
He'll shrug. I'm curious. He looks at him and he'll say, when my father died, was he a happy man?
He takes a moment to think on that. Are newborn babes happy?
He kind of quirks an eyebrow at that.
Kids probably fall with second childhood.
Many old men yet are happy in their later years. Look at me, I'm always happy.
He'll smile and he'll say, you know, I've shed blood on more battlefields than I can count. I've won wars for sea lords, I've won lords for magisters, I've won wars for elephants and tigers. I've seen so much of the world. And yet, he kind of takes up a hand of dirt from the tree, from just near the tree of from near the weirwood tree, and he lets it fall from his hands, and he'll say, and yet I never forgot this place.
Wow. So it's like they always say, there's no place like home. Home and hearth.
He looks at Boris and kind of quirks his head to the side as he says, do you think I should stay, Boris?
Okay. Takes a moment to think on that. And tell me, my lord, who is more fool? The fool or the fool who follows him?
He contemplates that for a moment. He says, I've seen fools the world over. Fools may laugh and they may dance and they may sing. They may play the mum. However, they know much. So it is, you're not a fool to ask a fool, because the fool has foolishly learned all that he needs to know.
Would it make you happy to spend time with your family?
Yes, I suppose it would. I've missed their faces.
Would it make you unhappy to leave?
There's much in the world that I've yet to see. I thought I would see it receive to return home. But no, I think that the world can wait. I think that here's where I'm meant to be.
It seems then the fool has asked a question he knows the answer to.
Thank you, Boris. He'll smile genuinely. How long has Boris been with our family?
He was a childhood playmate of Justin, who was Brendan's father.
So holy crap, he's old.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, he's then going to sink back down and continue his prayers. Making a small mental note, he needs to build a sept.
Okay.
We need to have enough money to open a sept first.
Okay. Meanwhile, back in the main hall.
And that was the third time I caved to man's chasm.
You seem to have killed quite a number of people, brother.
I do it well.
Fair enough.
As entertaining a story as that was, Uncle Grimm, I think I know. I think I have a plan.
A cunning plan.
Hopefully. For the time being, you and I can continue to run this house. Until Corin and Ryland decide what they wish to do.
I say we throw a knife in the middle of the pit and have the two of them fight first blood.
Let's not do that.
No, not for the purpose.
I want to say, you know that Ryland is literally one of the most feared, like, so no.
I'm not saying for who decides to get it. I just want to see that happen. Good times.
Let's still not do that.
Well,
That is
you know,
neither wise nor prudent.
no, but it'll. Oh, well, it's also, you know, my youngest nephew here, I'm sure could do for some bit of excitement in his life and maybe a little bit of blood loss.
And I'm perfectly happy to help close up his wounds.
I prefer all of my blood to remain where it is, personally.
Yeah, so do a lot of people. That's not how life plays out now, is it? I'd prefer I didn't limp every time it gets really cold, but here I am.
Besides, what happens if you get a cold, nephew? Am I not supposed to go getting the leeches?
That's an entirely different situation.
No, it's removing blood for your betterment.
One is blood for
In
my
simplest
betterment,
terms.
the other is stabbing me with a.
It's not necessarily it's to first blood.
And
You're saying it like
and I do have a bleeding knife.
We're getting off
Anyway.
topic.
It was mostly a joke, but anyway.
Corin, whether or not you mean to be Lord or not, it's time for you to start looking for a marriage partner.
Yes. Same goes for the purple-eyed one outside. Unless he takes unless you want to take the black.
I would be very cautious as to who we married off our young prodigal to. The firstborn son is always going to raise some attention from the royal house. The firstborn son of any house is going to.
Well, yes. The question is, who are we inviting in here to become lady of the house?
Yes.
I mean, if we're going for most amount of versatility, or rather most amount that we can choose, I'm sure the phrase would do the best deal. But that's also because they're the worst to deal with. No offense.
Sir Cleo did offer to introduce a couple of his cousins.
And I found myself a very nice northern girl. So, I mean, look around, I suppose. Shop, I guess.
What matters more is that whomever is Lord has a capable partner to run the house.
Yes. And hopefully not a woman who spends a lot of money. That happened to...
What do you think of a Dornish woman?
I think they're fantastic. But are you referring as
possible marriage partners for our young nephew?
Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
Not necessarily.
Again, I've married a...
The way the Dornish works is quite different from the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. As I understand it, there are several young Dornish women who, by all standards, would be considered bastards, but by Dornish standards have every right to inherit. We could argue a fairly significant... We could make it into something of a political statement. It would be hard for the king. It would be hard for the royal family to stand against us in that. And it would be hard for anyone to stand against a match between between the Riverlands and Dawn. After all, we've been invaded more times by the Ironborn than I think any of us can reasonably count.
Well, then, by that logic, shouldn't we look to the Ironborn also potentially?
He looks at you and just with a disgusted sigh goes, "Brother, how would you feel if to the Iron Islands?"
I don't feel a lot of things about a lot of things, but the point is that what you do, you get your enemy to stop fighting you, as in the case of the Targaryens and Dorne, is you marry them to you. You know as well as I do that's a prudent move. Also, we should take this up with the Tullys when we talk with them, as they also do get a say on this situation.
My counsel then would be marry young Corin here to whomever we feel is best.
Quick question. Nathan, is it public knowledge at this point that Lord Hoster is incredibly ill?
He is extremely old. He's not actually bedridden yet officially, but he's not far from it.
Okay, cool.
He's extremely old.
So realistically, is it a fair assumption, because at the moment Ryland's mind is working, is it a fair assumption to say that probably much of the power in Riverrun is currently being exercised by Edmure?
Well, the letter that you've yes. Yeah, he is certainly before the day-to-day functions of lordship.
Okay.
I would suggest, however, if my counsel on this matter is relevant, that we consider a Dornish match for Ryland. If for no other reason than the boy will complain if we send him somewhere cold.
And that still leaves the matter of where Maggie would go to court.
Well, presumably Maggie would stay with you in the court of the Freys.
Presumably, yes, though I don't think that's what Wences intended for her.
If you wished. I'm certain the Tullys would be happy to take her in as a foster child. But that's just my opinion, of course.
Should I bring my daughter back?
At least for the time being,
Well,
if possible.
Well, she's been in the court of Stannis. Sorry, I'm a bit deep in my cups. I'm forgetting names.
Yes, the Lord of Dragonstone.
Well, I might bring her out here for a season or two.
Yes, that's probably wise. At the very least, she should meet her cousins.
Yeah.
She should. I would be delighted to see her.
Okay. And brother, when I get up in the morning, we'll compose a letter and I'll have you send it to Dragonstone.
Very good. This is going to be annoying, but I'm now going to have to write a report for the Citadel. They like to be kept abreast when things like this happen. And if I get one more letter of complaint from the Grand Maester, I'm going to be able to wallpaper my walls with them.
If it helps, I could write a letter commending your sound advice in these matters.
It's not so much sound advice he doubts, my dear Lily. It's more that he finds my methods, my willingness to experiment rather tedious, I think. He's a man far more prone to his books and his ramblings.
Perhaps, but I learned what I learned Actually, all I learned of healing, I learned from you.
Yes, but I've learned a great deal of my healing skills in the when I myself went to Essos. I admit, working in the infirmaries of slave fighting pits does have some advantages in learning how to sew up a wound. Sewing on the head I found more difficult. He says that clearly as a joke, by the way.
Well, dear uncles, dear brother, I have a letter to compose. I will take my leave from you now.
Well, I bid you good night.
Good night, Lily.
Lily will give a polite curtsy to the assembled family, and take leave for her chambers.
Okay. Are people ready to finish, or is there more?
I think we're approaching that point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, we'll wrap up. Thank you, players for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been the first pilot episode of the Saga of House Grimm, who are now going to be busy for next month organising a wedding, I imagine. What could possibly go wrong?